So here I want to take us through the process on how to draft and cut this simple joggers outfit. It's a trouser with a fake zipper effect. Here we put buttonhole and put buttons here. Now I'll also take you through how to attach the elastic with the rope in front, the whole sewing processes, and how to put this lovely side pocket. So if this sounds like what you wish to learn, don't forget to watch this video to the very end and like, share, comment, and subscribe to my channel. So let's get right into it. All right, so to start this type of trouser, all you need to do is your fabric. So here I am using light poly material as illustration. You can go ahead to use the thick poly. I just had to use this for illustration purposes, but it will still serve us for the same thing. So you always get your baseline, as we all know. You mark your baseline out. So this baseline must be perfectly marked out. You also mark the side as well, this way. And then make sure you get a perfect base and side lines, which is the foundation to every successful drafting. Most tailors ignore this. But then it is very important that I lay more emphasis on this always. So now the measurements we are going to work with are very free measurements, both from the hip, the lap, the ankle, the knee, and everything. Now, so for your information, we don't use knee in cutting, right? We make it to be free so that it can be free wear as always. Then here you mark 2 inches for the folding or hemming. You mark 2 inches right there. You mark 2 inches. Then connect the lines. Then after this, the next you will do is to put your length of trouser. So the length we want to have here is a length of 43. Now bear in mind that our band must be 2 inches, right? I already have a band and an elastic I brought, which I will show you in the gumming process. So we are going to mark 43, but we are going to exclude the 2 inches for the band, right? So that it does not affect the length of the trouser. Now, the reason I am excluding the band here is because we ought to have, an exact trouser length without any slanting or whatsoever. So now, because of the fact that we're also going to attach this band by 1/2 inch to the trouser panel, so we are going to remove 1.5. That's, you now add 1/2 inch extra. That is 1.5. By the time you sew 1/2 inch, it becomes 2 inches, right? So the band augments the length of trouser. So invariably, what you removed in this length is 2.5, 1.5 inches, right, in total. So that's for your information. Then you connect the lines all through this way. So the band must be exact of 2 inches. I will show you the elastic, which I bought in the sewing process. So do well to watch to the very end. And don't forget to like this video, share, comment, and subscribe to my channel. So here you mark your waistline this way. Now, the hip we are going to use is a hip of 52, right? 13.5. So we are going to remove that 1.5 here for the band. Remember, the band is coming 1.5, right? So now the crotch is always way bigger. So you don't need to do any deduction. You just divide the hip by 4 and use the answer for your crotch depth. It's a very free wear, very free pant. So here we're going to mark at 13.5 for the crotch depth. You don't need to deduct anything or whatsoever. So at that point, you connect in this form. Connect in this form. Connect all through this way. Then you don't need to get your knee line, it's not necessary, it's not needed. So here you mark your 13.5, which is your hip measurement by 4. Mark in this form and add extra 2 inches, right? And here, bear in mind, you don't need to mark your waistline. The elastic is going to now contract or compress the excesses on the waist to match your customer's waist value. So here, we are going to transfer the actual hip measurement, which is this line here. We are going to transfer it all the way straight to the waist point, right? In this form. Look at it, transfer it this way. And then we are going to now do our crotch curve, which comes in this form. It goes all the way to this very point. Now, we are going to do our flap extension. So here, we are using a flap extension of 2.5 inches, 2.5. And then the length of our crotch extension, we're going to use a length of 9.5. So let's use 9 inches, right? And then we're going to make sure our crotch extension, our flap extension goes all the way in this form. Long I will show you how it curves. So the flap is being cut together. It's not cut as a different entity, right? It's being cut together. So it goes all the way from here to this very point. This is how it goes this way. The flap is being cut together. So I'll show you. So the length of this flap here is at the end of the day 10 1 quarter, right? Just a little gap here. So I will cut, or you see how the cut will come out. And then the ankle, like I told you, you don't use your knee. So whatever be your measurements for your lap, you can just reduce it a bit. It's always a free wear at the hem. But if you want to put your knee line, maybe to give it fitting, you are still very much free to go about that. Then the next you are going to do is to get your knee point. If you really want to put your knee, just to give it fitting. So you measure from here to this point, 29 and a half, divided by 2 is going to give us 14.5 is 29, then 7.5, 14.75, then minus 3 is 11.75. So here you mark 11.75 just to get your knee point, and then connect the line from here and make sure it goes all the way to this very point. Then after this, the next you're also going to do is to just get your midpoint. From here you get your 15.5. The middle here is 7.75. You mark it this way. Transfer the measurement as well to the knee. 7.75. The reason I'm putting this knee is for clarity purposes, so that you don't get confused. So 17.75. Transfer all the way to this point as well. Then extend this line to come all the way to this very point, this way. So now, once this line has been extended, now remember, it's a very free wear. So you're not meant to use your actual knee circumference or anything. So I will just mark 6 inches this way, 6 inches here, 6 inches at 22, 6 inches as well, 22, 6 inches. So the ankle as well, you can mark 6 as well, or you can mark 5, just to make it a bit, maybe fitted however you want, but not fitted as I said the body, a bit moderate rather. So moderate should be the word. So here you connect all through in this form, connect all through as well in this form as well. You go all the way to this very point, and then you take your hip curve, and gently connect from here. Connect the extension of the 2 inches. It goes all the way to the knee. It comes in this very form. Then carefully make sure it's blended or blends inside. It goes all the way to this very point. And then you connect from here as well. It's just a gradual process, still similar with our regular trouser. The only different thing here is the cut together flap that we are going to do and the pocket type that is meant to happen here. So this is what we have. Now, when you look at this trouser drafting, you are noticing and seeing that it's still similar. Just the different thing here is the knee circumference being a bit bigger, ankle as well being bigger, then the flap is being cut together, and then there is no waist application. If on the hip, you take it straight to the waist. Now the elastic will now do the rest of the stuff for you. Now, because of the fact that we are going to cut the elastic, that was why the crotch extension was calculated alongside the crotch. Now, we are going to cut out from here. you cut out from here all through this way. Now, in cutting this, you also make sure that, your values or your measurements you have is adequate or proper. Cut all the way to this very point. Cut from here. Cut all through this way. Cut all through this way. Now, in sewing this type of trouser, it's best sewn with your 4-thread weaving machine, because it sews and weaves. So if you don't have it, you can do well to make use of your regular industrial sewing, and then you sew later on, you weave the panels together. So you cut out all through this way. Then this flap will be cut together. I'll also show you how to stitch it or how to sew it when we get to that sewing stage. So you cut the flap together. Cut it together this way. So you can actually make this flap to be smaller if you want, but I think 2.5 inches is ideal. So now let's fold and cut the back panel as well. All right, so now for the back drafting, so we are going to, just place it the regular way we do our placements, and arrange all the panels together. Arrange the panels together. So here, you make sure that whatever be the ankle value you have, it's not going to be too small. So this is 20. So I think half inch closure, we make it to be 19. So which is still very much okay. So now we are going to fold, the flap extension was cut together. So just fold it out on its own this way. Just bearing in mind that it doesn't need to be affected to the back. Then you're going to now extend your crotch. It's 2.5 inches right there. So this crotch curve tends to continue. It continues all through this way. So it extends here by 2.5. Now, it does not go all the way to the hem. It ends somewhere within the calf region or the knee region. You don't need to put the 2 inches all the way to the hem. It goes all the way from here to this very point. So this is just the rule. Then the back extension, the backwards extension. So here you can put just 1/2 inch or 1 inch, because there's no need to put extra, because the hip is already affected on the waist region. So 1/2 inch, 1 inch is okay. So we are putting 1 inch right there. Then the hip region here, you maintain your 2 inches extension, and then you just connect from there. Goes all the way from here to this very point. And after you have done this is all you need to do. Then you recut. Now in recutting this, the sides from the hem are equal. From the hem, from the ankle here is equal as well. Then once it gets somewhere to the calf, you can now start opening up your extra allowance you need. Cut all through this way. Cut all through this way as well. Then equal height. There's no raising. You don't need to raise it at the back. Remember, the front was not slanted, so the back will not be raised as well. So you just cut out all through this way. So after you have done this now, I think you don't need to even do any form of gummy. All you need to do now is to start this sewing process, and then cut out the band measurement, which I will show you as well how to cut the fabric for the band. Now, this is what the front and back panel looks like. Remember, it was just because the fabric wasn't enough. That was why I turned it over the other way around. So this is what the front and back panel looks like, just like a typical trouser. The only thing different here is your flap cut together format, and then your arm measurements. This pattern as well is also applicable in our regular trouser. So let me also show you the components which we use in sewing. All right, so now for the band, we folded. I have two fabric on fold here. I want to make it join at the back, or rather join in there. So the measurement, remember the band is 2 inches for our final band, and the rubber I bought is also 2 inches. It's like 1/3. So they just say 2 inches for the band. For the elastic I bought, it must be 2 inch elastic and it must be stretchy. Then you get your rope, you get your joggers rope. Of course, this is very important. Joggers rope, you get it the color of your choice. Then you're going to cut the fabric for the band 5 inches. 5 inches is what you're going to cut. It must be 5. It can't be 4. It must be 5. Then join all the way to this very point. Then you cut out this from here. I will show you how to fix all of this. Just make sure you watch this video to the very end. Then I will slit the center point so that I will be able to join it. So I will slit the middle. So here you slit all the way to this point, slitting all the way to this point, slit all the way to this point. So after the slitting, I will do the joining somewhere at the back here for it to be able to go right round. And this band must be equal with your waist circumference when you join it together, so that your hip circumference, so that it will be able to stretch when you fix this inside. Then for the pocket, so the pocket is kind of different from the regular pocket of your plain trouser. So the measurement I have here, the depth of the pocket I have here is 13, still 13. And then the width I have here is 8. But then here is the catch. This pocket should not be on full, should be on pieces. 1 layer, 2, 3, 4. So these 2 pieces now is going to be used to make one of the pockets, and this will be used to make some of the pockets. So do well to watch the next clip on how to sew this joggers and free trouser. All right, so now the first thing we are going to do is to do our pocket fixing. Now this pocket fixing must be done with precision. I'll show you how to do all of this. So now you are going to measure. You're going to measure out. The pocket does not get to the waist point, so you're going to determine where you want the pocket to start from. So 1.5 inch, 2 inches down from the waist is ideal. 1.5 or 2, depending on how you want it as well. So we are going to use let's use 2 inches. So 2 inches right there. Then the pocket opening is now 6.5 or 7, depends as well how wide you want it to be. So we're going to do 7 inches. So 7 inches right there. So now this is both the front and back. So I'm just going to put a small notch there so that I will not, one will not be a different position or location. So I'll just arrange this properly this way. Just arrange it properly this way. Then I'll put a little notch here. Very important. Put a little notch there. Very important. Then I will make sure I differentiate the front and back. Fine. So I will keep it over this way. Now I will pick one of the pieces, right? One of the pieces. Then placing it at that side point. Now this waistline, this one does not need to get to the end. So it can be like 1 inch above. So here you place it. Then from that notch point, turn it over this way so that you see the notching very well. From that notch point, you're going to stitch here. You're going to stitch from there. Don't double stitch. This is from the wrong side though. So stitch all the way. Make sure it doesn't stretch all the way to that other notch point. That way. Cut your threads, and then you now give it a proper notching now. So this notching will now be in a V-shaped form. Now this V-shaped form must come on that point where it ended, right? You shouldn't exceed that point. It must come in a V-shaped form this way. Then you fling it inwards. You fling it inwards. So this comes out in this form. Then before you turn it over, you're going to top stitch. Top stitching at the inner part of the pockets. This first fold, you top stitch here carefully. Make sure that the point of notching is at the pocket region. So top stitch here, top stitch right there, top stitch right there, top stitch right there. So make sure it goes all the way to the very end there. So this top stitching will help to keep it in a firm grip or firm position. Then cut your threads. Then after which, so this is what it looks like. Then you're meant to iron. You use the iron and iron it gently. Iron out. Make sure it's relaxed properly. You just lap this way. Then after which, you pick one of the panels, this other panel, it will not be in this form, this way. Now, this other panel now that you're bringing will now come out here by that 1/2 inch. So make sure this edge is properly taken care of. So once it comes out by 1/2 inch this way, it will also be equal with the other component. Then you're going to make a temporary stitch here, just holding these two pieces together. You'll make a temporary stitch right there. You'll make a temporary stitch at the notch point, that edge here. Make a temporary stitch right there. Now just to hold it together this way. Cut your threads. Cut your threads. Cut your threads. Also do the same stitching at the up parts of the pocket, making sure it's lapping properly as well. This way. Make a temporary stitch as well. Don't give room for the pocket to be bent or folded. So here you make a temporary stitch as well. Very important. Right there. Then cut your threads. Cut your threads this way. Cut your threads. Then after which, in the canal, if you want to weave the inside, you can leave it this way and stitch and then weave. If you have exact color of the clothes you're making, you can weave round. But if you don't have the exact color of the clothes you're making, maybe you're making black, use black weaving. If you're making white, use white weaving. But if you don't have the color of the clothes you're making, you can, bring it out from the inside and then seal to the turn-up sewing. So let's just bring it out from the inside and do the turn-out sewing. So you bring out this way. You bring it out, and then you're going to start from the up part or from the down one. I'll make sure the whole parts have been brought out. But it's easier when you are sewing to weave. You just close it all the way. So you can just start from the hem first, from the base. Stitch, arrange the baseline. You can make it curvy or square, anyone. All the way. Then arrange the sides this way. Arrange the sides. Make sure you're arranging it as well. Then you arrange the up parts area as well. This way. Arrange it. Gently. Stitch. You can cut off these sharp edges. You can cut them off. Then stitch this other side as well. So make sure you bring out all of this. Cut your threads. cut here. Then you can now push it in. You can now push it inside. You can now top stitch if you want to. So this is the inner pocket. So you can iron nicely. Make sure you iron out all the parts, all the edges to come out very well. You iron it properly. So now this is the side, right? This is the side of this. So this is how it will be. Then when you are joining the side panel of the trouser, you stitch very close, then from the side all the way. So let me do the second pocket and then I'll show you what next to do. All right, so now we have fixed the two front pockets, the side pockets. Now the next we are going to do is to lock the center crotch, the front panel. So how do you lock it? Remember that this flap extension is just fancy. It does not really need any zipper or any opening right there. Just like making it to give that fancy look. So how did you to do it? So start from here, hold the crotch points together, stitch half an inch, stitch half an inch from here, stitch half an inch, stitch it together, holding the crotch points, go all the way to the next point, holding the crotch points, then you continue your curve with sewing from there. So after this, you are going to notch this center point, notch here. The notching is very important as well. Notch it so that it can relax. Then you're going to weave the edges. So because of this does not fray, it does not bring out hair. So there's no much need. But if you want to weave, you can go ahead and weave. So, but since I'm just teaching you guys, so just go and weave so that you will get a perfect result. So go and weave. And when you weave all the curve, you weave both here. So this is what you see at this point. Now, at this point, this is what it looks like. Remember, if you turn it over to the right, it is now a male flap. If you go over to the left, it's now a female, right? So you must fold this from that 2.5 extension. Don't forget what 2.5 extension you had. Then carefully arrange it from the up part. And then you stitch from that 2.5. Make sure you still remember, you can put a notch there if your chalk is not visible enough. So once you get the exact point you need, then you're going to bring out this together this way. So gently arrange this just like this from the crotch points from the extension. So just holding this together this way. Then you're going to measure 1.5 or 1.8 depending on how you want there to be. So you measure. So let me just put my tape there. You measure 1.5. Let's do it 1.8 so that it will be a bit pronounced. Then you stitch. Carefully arrange the crotch points as well. Then don't forget to indicate where this ending is. So you stitch and then gently make a curve there. Make a curve there. Make a curve there. And then you double stitch at that point. So here, cut your threads. Cut your threads. So at this point now, you can now do buttonholes here. And then fix buttons. Now the buttons you are fixing might be fancy buttons, or your regular trouser buttons. It's just like a fancy flag. It does not work anything. There's no use for it. So it's just like a decorative effect. You fix buttons there if you want to fix. Then if you don't fix as well, just iron it, and this is all it gives you. You iron flat. And after the ironing, so the next thing you're going to do now is to join the sides of the trouser. This is very simple to make if you know how to go about it. Then you bring the corresponding panel. This is the back, merge it together from here. Then you gently start the stitching from here. You stitch half an inch. So your target now, you are trying to make sure that you stitch at this exact point, very close to the pocket edge this way. So you carefully arrange the underneath fabrics and then arrange here as well. Then stitch from there. So you make sure you also, give room for that. So you stitch all the way. So you stitch all the way right there. So you stitch all the way right there. Carefully arrange all of the panels. Then shift the pocketing. Arrange the sides. Make sure the lengths must correspond as well, just the way we do our regular trouser stitching. So you arrange it, shift the pocketing, and then you stitch half an inch. You stitch half an inch. So if you have your overlocking machine, it's way easier. The 4 thread that sews and weaves at the same time. If you don't have it, you can use your direct drive or your normal industrial sewing. After sewing, you go and weave. So this is how it is. So let's check the pocket size. So this is how the pocket looks like. I'll iron it properly so that it will relax very well. I'll iron here properly so it relaxes very well. So this pocket is always at the side, it's always at the side this way. So I will join the second one, then I will go ahead to do the ironing, and I will show you how everything turns out to look with the side pockets. So now we have ironed the pocket. Look at how relaxed it is. We have ironed all through. We have also open pressed the side seams, so which you must do, compress the side seams. And after the compression and the ironing, so the next you're going to do now is to lock your waist circumference. Now, in locking the waist, you don't need to apply any measurements of a customer's waist because we are using elastic at the waist point. All you need to do here is just use 3/4 inch or half an inch, depending on the case may be. So let's just use half an inch right there. So use half an inch and then lock your customer's waistline. So take it all the way to the hip and take it all the way to the crotch. After which, you cut your threads as well. Cut your threads. Then you're now going to lock the inner leg or the inseam. Hold it all the way. Make sure that the crotch as well is being held together. In fact, in most cases, you pin it. You must pin the center of the crotch. You must pin it so that it holds firmly. So you pin the center of the crotch, open up the allowances both sides, open them up right here. So you pin the center of your crotch just like this, pin it, and then use half an inch. Start your locking from here. Remember, you must have weaved every part as well. So, but since I am making it to be a tutorial, so I'm just sewing straight. I'm just sewing straight, making sure that I lock half an inch or through, holding the leg sides together. Stitch all through, arrange the crotch, the inner seam. Stitch all the way to the crotch points. Then this right there. Once you get to this crotch where you have pinned, you can now remove your pin because you have achieved what you're looking for. So arrange out these crotch points, the leg side. Make sure it's being held together. So you stitch. Like I said, if you have your 4-thread weaving machine, or what they call overlocking machine, you can go ahead and use it. It weaves and sews at the same time. So now we have locked the seam. Now the next we are going to deal on is the band. Now how do we prepare the band? So I will take you through the process as well. Now for this band, the measurement is 5 inches here. And then remember, we are going to battle with 2 inches band at the end of the day. So you first of all, remove half an inch, which you are meant to use to attach the main trouser panel, right? So this half inch is going to be removed on both edges. I know why I'm doing this way so that it will be easier for you to understand. So you mark half an inch off from both edge. That makes it to be 4 inches right now. After the 4 inches, now remember that 2 inches is the where you're going to work on. So if you place your tape, tape this way, you now determine the center of this 2 inches when it's on fold. Remember, it will be on fold. You get, so the middle somewhere here is the middle. So here is the midpoint. Now that midpoint, you're going to leave half an inch gap for the rope to come out. So invariably, what you measured from the base here is 1.5 on 3/4 right there. So what are you going to do? So you're going to also mark, half an inch this way for your sewing. So you're going to start sewing from here. Sew from here. Then stitch. Then jump the gap, that half inch. Then stitch again. You stitch again. Cut your threads. And then cut your threads. You now open up the side seams. You now open up your seam. So this hole that you created here is very essential, very important. It's where your rope will come out from. So you open it up this way, and then you're going to top stitch these points. Top stitch these points. Top stitch the both sides. It's very important that you do this always. Top stitch it all through to the very end. After the top stitching, the next you will do is to trim out your excesses. Trim out your excesses, and then you trim out this. Just trim it out so that it doesn't obstruct you when you are walking. Trim it out. Gently trim it out. And then make sure the base as well is also equal. So after you have trimmed it out, so this is what it looks like. The rope will come out from here. And when you fold into 2 equal parts, you also make sure that the opening is somewhere at the middle or somewhere high here. So we're okay with this. Now, the next you're going to do is to close the waistline of this particular band. So what waistline are we going to use? You're going to measure whatever be the measurement you have here. So whatever be the measurement you have here. So from this point to this point, you measure. Don't stretch it. Just keep it to lap firmly. So measure from here to here. Get your actual waist circumference here, and then you mark. Then close it there. So it's just like using the exact hip value to also lock the band of your trouser. So sew it at this point. Cut your threads. Also cut your thread, then cut off the excesses at this point. So if you want, you can still top stitch it, or you can leave it and then leave it this way. I think it's not going to obstruct anything from going in. So now you have gotten to fix your band this way. So we are going to iron with our steam iron, making sure that you iron out, you fold the band to give you equal fold this way. Iron out through to the very end. So I'll iron this, I'll come back and show the results. So here I have ironed the band. See how relaxed it is this way. Then I just applied hemming gum at that back joining just to hold it firmly. Now we have achieved this. So the next thing you're going to do now is to use half value. You're going to bring your elastic, you not consider and check how stretchy your elastic is, how stretchy it is. So if you determine how stretchy it is, you might use the there's the front panel alone, then fold it into two, then assume that you have sewn it, then stretch, check if it's good enough. If it's too strong, you add little allowance, add again, and then stretch. It's too tight because we are avoiding the waist to be too tight on the customer as well. Then this is okay. This is okay. It will lap. You can just add small. So now cut from here. So because of the band that I'm using, so invariably what I have here now is half of the front plus extra 5 inches thereabouts, or 7. So because of the elastic, there are some ones you will use half of it, it will be enough. There's some ones you use half and the half of the panel and half again, that's quarter of it, and it will be enough. So this elastic is not that stretchy, but I like how firm and how strong it tends to be. So after you have gotten to that point, now the next you will do is to join the elastic. Now the elastic as well has its pattern of joining, whereby if you want it to last properly, either you join in this form or you place it on top and sew it like a square, like a box. I think this is more relaxing. So 1/2 inch or 1 inch on top is what I'm going to use to join this. So just stitch all the way from here. So I will sew it like a square, making sure that the elastic is being held perfectly. So stitch like a square. So you're going to thread as many times as possible so that it doesn't pull off later on at the inside. So once you have sewn this to this point, now the next thing you will do is to fold, cut off your threads. The next thing you will do is to fold your elastic in half this way. Make sure this joint is at the center. Then put a notch here. Either you put a notch or you make a chalk mark, but notching is very important. So put a notch here. Put a notch at the other end as well. Then put a notch at the midpoint. Make the two notches here to correspond. Then put a notch in here as well. Then also put a notch at the other end as well. So these notches must be four, right? It must be four. The first notching is here, one. The second notching is here, two. And the third notching is here, four. And the last one is at the joining. That's five. Four notches rather. Four notches. One, two, three, four. Then do the same thing on the waist point as well. Do the same thing on the waist point as well. Put a notch at this point. Put a notch here. Put a notch here as well. This already has a center already, so we are going to make use of this as a notch. Then this back as well has a center, so the back is also going to serve as a notch. Then what do you need to do now? Now open your elastic, your band, then make sure it's strong enough. Then let's start from the first notches. So this one comes in line with the first notch, this to this. So this to this, right? Now you're going to make loose stitching. Just sew it straight with a loose stitch. Loosen your machine stitch to have a loose stitch. Either you sew it where you see it visibly or at the center joining, anyone. So let's sew it from here. Make sure you push it off, giving half an inch gap here that we use to join the band so that the band will not be sewn on the trouser waistline. So just note all of these processes. Then put a loose stitch right there. Stitch at this point with a loose stitch. Cut off your threads. Then locate the next notch, the next notching. Now this is the second notch, so drag this to come on the second notch this way. On this second notch, making sure you give half an inch gap here as well, so that when sewing the band to the waist, it doesn't sew on the trouser this way. Then fold it again, and then stitch on that line. Stitch on that line. Cut your threads. Then locate the third notching again. So this is what you do till you go around the 4 points that you have notched. So this notches is helping you to shear this elastic evenly on your waistline without any part being bigger or more. So hold it this way and then stitch with your loose stitch. Very important. So now you go over to the last part of your notching. You bring it out, go over to the last part of your notching as well. Do the same thing. Make sure you merge the notches together where it should lap this way. Fold it down as well in this form, and then you make sure it's lapping at where it should be. So stitch it as well with your loose stitch. So now you have achieved your loose stitching. Now the next thing you're going to do now is to start threading the band. So how do you thread it? Now remember that the center has an opening where the rope should come out from. So that opening is now the guide to get your both panel threading, your track with the rope we pass from. So this track here, this opening here. So remember that the opening has a width, this one and this. So you're going to maintain these two threads all through to the very end. So here, start from here, that point where the opening started from. Then you're going to focus from one notch to the other notch and stretch your band. You're going to focus from one notching to the second notch this way and stretch your band. Don't mind the rest. Just focus on the first to second. Hold it this way Make sure it's lapped properly, and then start from there and sew. Your hands must be as straight as possible. One notch to the other notch. That is the focus now. Stretch it. Don't allow any rumples to come here. So you stretch it. So once you get to the second notch, you now focus from the second notch to the third notching this way. So this is how you go right round. That's the simplest way to go about it. So this is the simplest way to go about it. So focus second to third, then third to fourth, just like that. Make sure your hands must be as straight as possible, because that will be the track which your rope will pass from. Then make sure you go in this order. Make sure you go in this order. So this is how you go about it. Don't allow any rumple or whatsoever to be on the fabric when you are sewing. So I've done the first one. Then the next now is to do the second threading. The same formula, the same process. Start from that same opening you have this way. Then focus from the first notching to the second notch, which is here. So drag it all the way out. Drag all the way out this way. And then sew. So by so doing, you're creating hole space for the rope to enter. That's the essence of maintaining the same opening. The rope will not pass us without much thread. It will go right round. So this is how you go about it. So gently do all of this. So once your hands are straight enough, you won't have anything to worry about. So once there's no rumple or folding or squeezes at any given point, that means your sewing is correct. It must match with the beginning. So here we have done the second threading. Then you cut your thread. So this is the elastic and rope effect. Now what you do next, if you want to thread the up part, you can thread it if you want. You know, some persons might want to have say, a third thread at the up or however. Then before you start fixing, you are meant to close this edge, the tip of it. So you're meant to close this. So sew at the tip. You know. So sew at the tip, or if you can still leave it and still fix it, still the same thing, but sew at the tip helps to, you know, make it to be one layer. So hold the tip together and stitch so that it will be easier for you to fix when you are fixing. So hold the tip this way and fix. Make sure you're not sewing on your elastic. It should be sewed on its own. So hold it all the way around. So you prepare this as a different component while you add it to the main trouser waistline. Cut your threads. So after this, the next you will do now is to fix the rope, sorry, on your waistline. So you can, simply loosen one edge of this rope without cutting. So you can just bring it out from here and then loose the knots here. But if you want to cut it out, just cut it out. Then if you have some safety pin, if the safety pin is easier to use in fixing this, then what you will now do next is to remove those vertical sewings you made. So remove those vertical sewings you made, remove them so that it will not give you stress while fixing. So once you remove all the vertical points which you have sewn, remove the 4 points. So that's why you need to know where you made those sewings. So remove them first before you start fixing your rope. So if you have removed the 4 of them, the rope will pass freely without any trouble. So this here was sewn this way. So you remove this as well. You remove this as well. All right, so now we have fixed the rope at the center of the waistband. So this is how it will be. So the next thing we do now is to adjoin this to the trouser, to the main trouser. So don't forget that the center of your waistline is at the center of the zipper, these points, this center. So this is where your roper should be placed. So you're going to now, start fixing this from here, placing the center here, where the rope came from, on that center panel. Then you are going to now hold it down 1/2 inch. So make sure it's held. Then before you do this, so it's advisable as well that you can still repeat the same process by just stitching this center point together. Once you get this center point, hold it from here. You can actually pin, or can just use the machine and tack here, then so that it will be even. Then still locate the center back, which is this one. The center back is here already, right? So locate the center back as well, and then place it here, and also make sure you also tack it at the center point. So tack it as well. Tack it as well. Then the sides as well. Now look for those notches, the ones you made, those notches. You see why it's very important you do all of this. So still attach it at the side as well. This is for easier band fixing, so that it will not, one part will not be longer or wider than the other part. Then the last one, still attach it as well to the last part of this. Look for the notching as well. Attach it again on the side as well. So open up the side seam, then sew it all through this way. Just tack it. You can now start here and sew all the way around. You can now start from here. Then remember that you can still drop a chalk here to indicate where it started from. Start from here and then sew 1/2 inch. So while sewing, make sure you now drag at interval, the side to side, one center point with the other center point. This gives you an easier fixing. Go all the way to this point. Then just make sure it's being sheared evenly. That is the sense of the elastic. So you attach it step by step. You attach it step by step, then cut off the threads, then attach it step by step. Attach it step by step. So it gives you an easier edge to control your elastic. At this point, after you have sewn, the next you will do now is to go and weave your waistline and then top stitch. So at this point, you're going to weave this edge. You're meant to weave this edge. Let me show you the outside look. So you're going to weave this edge. Look at it. So you're going to weave this edge. After you have weaved this edge, the one inside, then you top stitch. So this top stitching comes on the body of your trouser, not on the waist again. So here, after you top stitch and weave, after you weave, then you start top stitching from here, from the center as well. Use a machine footer as a gauge. Then stretch it out this way, and then start top stitching, making sure that the joining as well is lapping on the trouser body. You top stitch all the way around. Please bear in mind that you must weave. Oh, you must weave. I'm not weaving mine because I'm just using this to teach you guys how to do this. So I'm trying to beat time. So top stitch and weave. Top stitch and weave. Weave and top stitch rather. You have to first of all weave before you top stitch. So carefully top stitch all the way around. Top stitch all the way around. Top stitch all the way around. Make sure there's no rumples or whatsoever. It should lap firmly. So if you want to brand it, you can take it to where they do block design or DTF and brand it, your brand name. So top stitch all the way. Top stitch all the way. So here, this is the end of it. Then you can now do well to cut your threads. Cut your threads. Remove all the threadings. Carefully go round. Remove all the threadings. So this is what we have. This is the outcome of what we have sewn so far. You see how beautiful it is looking already. So now you fold the hem and you are good to go. So you can fold the leg. Like I said, if you want to put buttons at the flap point, the buttons are optional actually. You can do buttonholes here, only on the flap here. Then tack buttons at the inside, then button it, lock it, 3 or 4 depending. So now this is what we have. See how beautiful our joggers vest is looking, and also see the pockets, how relaxed it is as well. Hello, so mates. So here we are done with our jogger sewing. So look at how beautiful it is. Remember, this for illustration purposes. So this is, look at it, so neat and simple. If you want to have customized it with stripe lines, bias, anything, you can do the biasing at this very point. So this is the elastic. This is how it's been achieved. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye for now.